912 Sports, Southeast Georgia's #1 source for high school sports. Welcome to On Air with 912 Sports, a weekly look at high school sports in Southeast Georgia, featuring coaches, players, and journalists who know the ins and outs of prep athletics. Presented by the award-winning writers and broadcasters of 912 Sports, and sponsored by Coastal Pines Technical College, Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, Kim Smoke, licensed realtor with Crossway Realty, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, Prime South Bank, and Gibson Animal Clinic. Now, this week's headline.
Welcome, sports fans, and thanks for tuning in to On Air with 912 Sports. It's Season 3, the state playoffs. Right now, we have 19 teams in our 912 coverage area that'll be playing in the playoffs. We got 17 games going on this Friday and Saturday night. 8 teams will be at home, and 9 will be on the road. Check out tonight. We've got a preview of all those games right here on Air with 912 Sports. We also have the Ross's recap and a look back at Glenn Academy's big win over Statesboro. All that and more right here tonight on Air with 912 Sports. Thanks for watching.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
Time now for the Ross recap. Last week of the regular season here in the 912, and what a great regular season it was. Our game of the week, it came down to this between Appling and Pierce, and it was a tight game till late in the fourth quarter. Pierce wins the region and gets the 1 seed, defeating Appling 20-0 in Bearville. It was Brunswick winning Region 2 6A, and they will be the #1 seed in that region, taking on Tucker on Saturday at Glenn County Stadium. They defeated Effingham 21-18. Effingham falls all the way to the 3 spot in Region 2 6A. They will go on the road to take on Westlake, who is a very good team out of Atlanta. Statesboro and Glenn Academy, the winner of that game got the 4 seed. It was Glenn Academy. The Red Terrors head into the playoffs. They will take on Hughes up in Atlanta on Saturday. Glenn Academy got the win 34-7. Long and Tatnall, Long County wins. Brantley County is in the playoffs as well. Tatnall County wins. It goes to a tiebreaker, but Long took care of that for the Herons and for the Blue Tide. Blue Tide wins at 28-22. They are taking the playoff spot for the first time ever in school history, and also the 3 seed in that region, and their 5 wins on the year, the most ever in school history. Congratulations to the Blue Tide. Bradwell fell to South Effingham 28-22. It was Charlton 14-0 over Atco. Charlton is the 4 seed, traveling to Wilcox County in the first round. Clinch over Lanier County 35-13. Frederica Academy defeated Trinity Christian 42-17. Frederica is the 4 seed in the GISA AAA playoffs. They will play at home after a week off. They got a bye in that tournament. It's MCA 32-0 over Jenkins. They are the 3 seed. McIntosh traveling to Mitchell County on Saturday. Robert Toombs Christian Academy defeated Memorial Day 65-30. It was Swainsboro 48-0 over Vidalia. Swainsboro wins Region 2 AA and hosts Laney on Friday night. East Lawrence wins over Toombs County 10-7. The Falcons are the 4 seed. They will play at Putnam County on Friday night. Ware County defeats Wayne County 50-0. Ware, the region champions, they will host Banneker on Friday night in Waycross. And Brantley County loses their non-conference game or non-region game to Berrien 27-7. But by virtue of Long County's win over Tatnall, Brantley is in the playoffs for the 3rd straight season. That's the first time in school history. They will be the 4 seed and travel to Liberty County on Friday night. That's the Ross recap for 912 Sports.
High schoolers,
Did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Call on us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive in Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
Hello, everybody. Kevin Price for On Air with 912 Sports. Last Friday, on the final Friday night of the high school football regular season, I covered the Glenn Academy Statesboro game in Brunswick at Glenn County Stadium. It was a must-win game for both teams to punch their ticket to the playoffs, or the season was over, and it was Glenn Academy coming out on top 34-7, knocking off the Blue Devils. So Glenn Academy punches its ticket to the state Class 6A playoffs, and of course the Blue Devils end their season right there in Glenn County Stadium. The Blue Devils finish out at 5-5 overall, 3-3 in Region 2 6A after losing their final two games 2 weeks ago to Effingham 34-31 on the road, and then of course to Glenn Academy on the road again last Friday night. For the Red Terrors, they are 4-5-1 now. They also finished 3-3 in the region, but of course Glenn gets the number 4 seed by virtue of the head-to-head win over at Statesboro. And really, Glenn Academy looked as good as it has all season. After a 2-week layoff to get ready for this game, they were off the week before in the rotation, just the way it was their week to be off in the rotation of the region. So they had 2 weeks to get ready, and that certainly played off. They looked refreshed, relaxed, real focused, and simply put, they had to dismiss a couple of players off the team and kind of had a renewed attitude as well. Coach Rocky Hidalgo called it addition by subtraction, and I'll just leave it at that. But Glenn Academy had only scored 21 points in its last two games combined, a road loss at Effingham 20-14, and another road loss before the off week 14-7 at Richmond Hill. But in this game Friday night, they were up 21-0 at halftime. The last score came right before the halftime in the last couple of minutes on a blocked punt that set up the touchdown. Tyshawn Thomas got his hand on a Statesboro punt. The Red Terrors took over around the Statesboro 10-yard line, and Tyler Devlin threw a short pass to Tyson Rooks on 3rd and goal, and Rooks ran into the end zone. Jonathan Sasser added the PAT, and Glenn Academy had a 21-0 lead at intermission, and then came out and slammed the door shut on Statesboro's season in the second half. The Glenn defense looked good the whole night long. Once again, they played pretty good most of the season, but the real story was the Glenn offense coming to life in this ball game, and a big deal for them was getting the ball into the hands of freshman Greg Peacock more often. They started him in the backfield Friday night, and he did not disappoint. He had 21 carries, 183 yards, and a touchdown. He had a 60-yard run and also a 68-yard run to get the bulk of his yards. But Tyler Devlin also effective throwing the football, 6 of 8 throwing for 128 yards, the one touchdown that I mentioned. He also had 2 quarterback sneaks for touchdowns as well. So Glenn into the playoffs for the 14th season in a row, and now the 8th time in 8 seasons under Glenn Academy head coach Rocky Hidalgo. So they keep their playoff streak alive. And tough assignment for the Red Terrors this week. They go on the road Saturday night to face Hughes, one of the top contenders in Class 6A outside of Beaufort and Lee County. We'll see how the Red Terrors do this year against Hughes. Hughes is the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year in the second round. So I'll be back next week with a report on the Brunswick-Tucker game from Glenn County Stadium. That game also this coming Saturday night. So for On Air with 912 Sports, I'm Kevin Price.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Smoke, publisher of 912 Sports, joined as always by podcast host and writer Kevin Price. Kevin, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, Sean. Just looking forward to this weekend and some more great high school football, man.
Man, it's hard to believe Season 3 is starting, and that is the playoffs. And we have got a bunch of teams here in the 912 that are going to be playing for a chance to get to Atlanta to hoist that cup. Last year, the Pierce County Bears were able to get it all done and win 5 in a row and come away to AAA state champions in the state of Georgia. So we'll see if someone from the 912 can do the same this year. But, Kevin, we're going to start it off. We're going to go through the progression. We'll just start off with classifications. 7A, that brings us up with the Camden County Wildcats, 4-6 on the season. Got to travel to North Cobb, who's 9-1 on the season, and try to get a win, Kevin. And my big question is, can the Camden County get over the hangover of so many close games this year? They almost seem like they had Valdosta on the road. I mean, they had Lowndes on the ropes. They had Tifton on the ropes. They had all these teams on the ropes and just could not close the deal, come away with no wins in that region, but now they still get a playoff berth. So what can they do when they get to North Cobb?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right, Sean? I mean, here's a Camden team that, hey, they'll admit they backed into the playoffs. I mean, they're benefiting from being in a 4-team region, so everybody qualifies this year. I think some people may not realize that, but the Georgia High School Association did away with that deal that they did have in place not too long ago, where if you didn't win a region game and were in a 4-team region, you didn't automatically necessarily go. I mean, they went to those Maxwell ratings and different things, and it was possible that a fifth-place team, for instance, from another region could possibly have gone in your place. But they did away with that. And you know what? I mean, yes, Camden did not win a region game, and so I guess in a way they're being rewarded for not winning a region game. But look, I mean, they had a chance to win all those region games, Sean, and we know that. And unfortunately, they did not. And here they are, going in with 0 wins in region play. And it is a tough region. Maybe it's a tad bit down. I don't want to dwell on that too much. But, yeah, I mean, I've been saying for, a month now, maybe this is the week that Camden gets the signature win of the season. So maybe right here in the state playoffs, round number 1, maybe this is the week they get that signature win. Sean, they had that game all but wrapped up 2 weeks ago against Lowndes, and the two big playmakers for them, the quarterback and the running back, hook up with a 70-yard touchdown pass, or it was a little longer than that, with 13 seconds to go to break Camden's heart yet again. And, right before that, Camden had scored on a 2-point conversion to take the lead at 29-28. Then they gave up that big play. But, of course, they led by 21-7, I think it was, earlier in that ball game. And, of course, they lost to Colquitt tough in overtime. Had a weird loss against Tift after leading 21-7, with Tift kind of more or less controlling things and winning the second half. So, this Camden team, Sean, I mean, Heron told me on his podcast this week, had they had to play last week, doesn't know what their mental state would have been. Like you said, coming off a hangover, a tough loss, he doesn't know how he would have been exactly, coming into a game week, trying to turn things around that quick. But they gave the kids that Monday off week and went back to work, and had a good week of practice. And hopefully they've had another good week of practice. They've got to travel. That's a long way. That highway works both ways. Camden's been on both ends of that. But I tell you what, Sean, they didn't win. No, they didn't win against Lowndes, but they played really well on both sides of the football. They converted a lot of third downs in that wing tee, I think right at about 50%, including a couple on that drive where they took the lead and then went for the 2-point conversion. They played pretty good on defense, except for giving up a couple of big plays. I think Camden's right there, Sean, and I think they got a renewed, refreshed attitude. And look here, this North Cobb team's good. They've won 9 in a row since losing to the University of Beaufort in week number 1. They've got some big-time talent on both sides of the football. Their quarterback and their running back did not play last week, and they won 12-7. They were uninspired. They had already wrapped up the region championship. I'm not sure if the quarterback is going to be back. I think the running back will be back. But I tell you what, if the Camden defense can keep this offense from scoring, if their offense looks like they did last week, I'm going to call it, Sean. I think Camden goes up there and pulls off one of the stunning upsets in the first round on any level. I'm going with the Cats.
Hey, and you very well could be right. You give Jeff Herron 2 weeks to prepare, and he knew 2 weeks ago this was a Cats that he was going to be playing. I think you very well could be onto something there, Kevin. I would not be surprised at all to see Camden County go up there on the road and get a win in the playoffs. But that's our only team there in 7A, so we're going to move on to 6A now. We've got Tucker at 2-8 going over to Brunswick 10-0. Brunswick had a big scare last week, Kevin, going over to Effingham, only coming out, I believe, was a 3-point win when they were predicted to win by, almost 3 touchdowns. But, hey, listen, Effingham had a great game plan. They stuck it to Brunswick, but, hey, Brunswick found a way to get it done. Perfect regular season, 10-0, going to the playoffs with a perfect record in the region as well. And, Tucker's down this year. I don't really see Tucker being able to play with the Brunswick Pirates. And it will be in the friendly confines there on Saturday night, not Friday night, right. There between the bricks. So, but talk a little bit about this game and what you see happening there.
Yeah, so, in this game here, it's, Coach Pender kind of said it. It's a fresh start for everybody. That includes Brunswick and Tucker. I mean, Tucker comes in at 2-8. So, looking at the record against a 10-0 Brunswick team, you would think this is a mismatch. But anybody that knows Georgia high school football knows the tradition of Tucker. They've had one of the better teams in the state of Georgia for many years. Of course, that Franklin Stevens, who coached over there at, Ware, and, of course, was a former assistant under Jeff Herron down at Camden, won some state championships with those guys. And look, they're not that same team. Glen Academy beat them down here a couple of years ago in the playoffs, and there's a reason they're 2-8. But, Sean, when you look at this club, they've lost to some good teams. They've lost to Parkview. They lost to Cedar Grove. That's just to name a couple. Oh, by the way, Hughes and Westlake, 2 of the top teams in 6A, are in their region. So they lost to both of those guys. They're athletic. They've got speed. I think Brunswick is probably better than them in the trenches on both sides of the football after talking to Coach Pender and kind of breaking this matchup down a little bit. But, Brunswick, I think if they come to play, and look, Brunswick was a little bit disappointed in the way they played the other night, by the way, against Effingham. They won despite playing their best football, and that might say a little something about this BHS team. But I think if they get re-energized, get refocused, I think Brunswick should win this game. It might be a little bit closer than what people want to think record-wise, but I think Brunswick should march on. They should take advantage of some of the weaknesses that this Tiger team does have, and we'll see just how far a talented Brunswick team can go. It's only going to get tougher because 6A is a real tough class overall.
Exactly. And sticking in that same region, you got Richmond Hill, by the way everybody fell Friday night, moves up to the 2 seed. They're going to host Lovejoy. Both of these teams, Kevin, come into this contest 4-5 apiece. On paper, these teams look evenly matched. Like I said, Richmond Hill's played really good at times. They beat an Effingham team, which I didn't expect that they could do. But then other times they haven't looked as crisp as they have in the past. So really, this is kind of a coin flip game for me. I'm not real sure, what'll happen. But the good thing about it is for Richmond Hill, they get to be at home, and they've only had 3 home games before this one, Kevin. So trust me, they'll take anything they can get at home right now. But it should be a good contest between them and Lovejoy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, obviously this Richmond Hill team got off to a slow start, a really slow start, you might say. And, I think they have improved. They've had trouble with turnovers. I saw it against Brunswick. They lost the game to Statesboro the same way in the fourth quarter. That Effingham game that you mentioned, I mean, that's the key game for them. Yeah. That's why they're sitting here in the 2-hole right now, 28-6. And, by no means is Richmond Hill or is Effingham an explosive offense, but and 28 points is not a ton of points. But, Richmond Hill got it done there at home. And again, like you said, limited home games. I think that plays into Richmond Hill's favor in this game. Not only does Lovejoy have to come home from Metro Atlanta, but Richmond Hill hasn't played at home much this year, and I think they're going to be fired up as all get out to play right there on the hill in this ball game. And when you look at these teams, I mean, their points scored is about the same. I think roughly their points allowed are about the same. I think the Richmond Hill Wildcats may have found something in the Gillard kid coming down the stretch at running back. We know Goldrick's played pretty good at times at quarterback, throwing the football. I think the Richmond Hill defense has improved at least a little bit going down the stretch, and I think that's the key to keep the big play potential of Lovejoy from breaking out, exploding. If Richmond Hill can keep this game somewhere in the 20s, I think they've got a chance right there in Richmond Hill to march on and move on in this playoff bracket.
Yeah, it's like you said, going to be an electric crowd over there because, I mean, listen, they're starved for some home football games over there, so I'm sure they'll pack that stadium out there Saturday night. Another game is going to be Glenn Academy's got to travel to Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes 9-1 on the season. We all know about Glenn's struggles. 4-5-1. But hey, Kevin, they were able to get it done Friday night against a Statesboro team that's a tough football team. Everything on the line. It was very cut and dry when that game started. You knew if you won, you got an opportunity to get into playoffs. If you lost, you got to take up your uniforms. And that's exactly what Statesboro had to do, either Friday night or Saturday morning. They're done for the season, but Glenn gets an opportunity. Not sure what a great opportunity it is to go play Langston Hughes, but they do get an opportunity, Kevin, to go on the road and be a part of the playoffs. Langston Hughes, a really, really good football team. I'm not sure, but I believe, aren't they the team that put Glenn out last year? Was it last year? They came to Glenn Academy and was able to get the win there. So Glenn's a little bit familiar with this team, but hey, listen, Langston Hughes, every bit as good as they were last year. Going to be a tough draw for the Red Terrors.
It is, Sean. You're right. And, last week, going back to that game against Statesboro, it was do or die for both teams, must win, all that kind of good stuff. And, Statesboro putting themselves in that position by losing the week before at Effingham. They had that game under wraps, 31-21, and Effingham comes back and wins it 34-31. And, of course, gets to play Brunswick last week for the region championship. And then, Glenn had lost their last two games against Richmond Hill and Effingham, put themselves in this position for a must-win game. And so both of these teams had their backs against the wall, and Glenn Academy's not used to being in that position, Sean. They usually have a playoff berth wrapped up going into the final game, and usually they are number one, if not number two. And they have not been a 3 or a 4 seed since Coach Hidalgo's first year, and that was back in 2014 when they were the 3rd seed and actually went to the quarterfinals. Now, if they make it to the quarterfinals this year as the number 3 seed, Coach Hidalgo probably, as the number 4 seed, he probably ought to get a raise, although he makes enough money probably as it is. But if they win this game Saturday night, I'm headed to the convenience store not too far from my house, and I'm buying a lottery ticket. I can tell you that. Or I'm going to bet on the double-digit underdog from a West Coast college football game as well. But look here, I mean, Glenn Academy knows they're playing with house money. They're going to make a trip up to Metro Atlanta. And they deserve it, Sean. They came off the mat Friday night. They were as good as gone. I mean, a lot of people probably felt like Statesboro was going to come down here and win this game. They had looked better coming down the stretch than Glenn Academy, but, Glenn's defense has played well pretty much all of region play. And, they lacked any offense, certainly consistency, and they looked as good as they have in weeks in that ball game. Gave the ball to Greg Peacock left and right. Tyler Devlin, of course, Peacock just a freshman, by the way. Tyler Devlin looked good throwing the football. The offensive line came off the ball, played well. And they just executed, really, really, really well on offense. And so they deserve this trip. Coach Hidalgo called it a program win from where they came from. He kicked a couple of kids off the team that he called it addition by subtraction. And so they've got a renewed attitude. They're refocused. And like I said, they've got nothing really to lose in this game. All the pressure's on Langston Hughes. If somehow they can keep it close, who knows? But this Langston Hughes team is loaded. Great young quarterback who's a sophomore. They got a senior 4 or 5-star recruit, depending on where you look at running back. He's been limited by injury. They might not feel like they have to play him against Glenn. We'll see. They got the big Hughley kid that's going to UGA on the offensive front. Prospects on the defensive side of the ball. It's an all-star team right there around the Atlanta Metro, around the Atlanta airport. So Glenn's got a tough assignment, but they made it to the playoff once again, 14 years in a row, 8 years under Coach Rock. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, like you said, tough assignment, but Glenn, kudos to them for making it again once again this year.
Exactly. You say I got a chance.
That's right. That's
all you need is a chance. Well, Kevin, that brings us to the last one in 6A. That's Effingham at Westlake. Another tough draw. Coach John Ford's done an outstanding job with that program this year. I mean, we got to stop and realize, Kevin, here's a guy who goes into the playoffs as a 3 seed, 6-3 on the season. This football team won one game last year, one game. So, a great job by Coach John Ford, but he is up against the clock this Friday night or this Saturday night when he goes up and plays Westlake, another all-star team out of the Atlanta area. These guys are good. They're 8-2 on the season. Like I said, another tough draw for this region.
Yeah, so basically, Coach Ford, first of all, has done a great job at Effingham. I mean, just for them to be coming down the stretch with a chance to possibly get a home game, which, of course, they did not get, or to possibly even have a chance at that region title says something. I mean, they've had a heck of a year, even though they didn't win that game Friday night against Brunswick. They certainly put a scare into the Pirates, taking them all the way down to the wire and losing that game 21-18. And then now, unfortunately, some people were misled. They don't really understand or didn't understand why, Brunswick could possibly lose that game and still be 2, but Effingham falls to the 3 slot. Well, we just told you a little bit earlier that they actually tie with Richmond Hill in the loss column, but Richmond Hill beat them. So Richmond Hill's 2, Effingham's 3. Same thing with Glenn and Statesboro. They had the same record, but because, Glenn beat Statesboro, Glenn's in, Statesboro's out as far as the 4 seed goes. But, basically in that region, Sean, that this region that we cover is up against Westlake and Hughes just flip-flop. Hughes beat Westlake this year to win the region championship. Last year was Westlake beating Hughes. So this year, Westlake, the number 2 seed going in, they're ranked 5th in the state in 6A, averaging like 38 points a game, giving up like 13.6. Beat Tucker 34-10 last week. R.J. Johnson, the junior quarterback's thrown for over 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. So if Effingham is going to have a chance to win this game, they've got to slow him down. And, of course, they make their hay on the defensive side of the football, but that's where it's going to start, is slowing that Westlake quarterback down, or they have no chance.
Yeah, going to be a tough ask there for the Effingham Rebels there. But let's move on into 5A. 5A games are going to be played on Friday. First one on the docket here is Banneker at Ware County. We all know about Ware County, 9-1 on the season, only lost to Benedictine early in the season. Banneker comes into the contest 5-5, but hey, this Banneker team's been playing really well, Kevin. They've scored over 150 points in their last 3 ball games, and really the team that everybody thought Ware was going to wind up playing was Monday's Mill. Oh, by the way, Banneker just beat them 55-0. So this team's got a lot of offensive firepower. They've got 3 guys that really make it go with the quarterback, a receiver, and a running back. Their defense has been stout, shutting out people. I know they haven't played the likes of Ware County yet, but this could be a tough draw for Ware County in the first round. But I look for the Gators to be able to move on to round 2, after Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, this is not Cupcake City. This is not 1 versus 16 in the NCAA basketball tournament. I mean, Ware's going to have to line up right and, make sure they're on their P's and Q's at least, and, all those kinds of things. But that should be a good warm-up act for Ware County. They're not going to exactly be able to ease into this deal as they shoot for the Class 5A championship. But you're right. I mean, just one of Banneker's losses was a 29-15 loss to Tift, and Tift's a 7A school. So, right. They played some other similar games like that with similar scores against decent squads where they lost. And this is a decent little team. And but you're right. You said it to a T. They haven't played the likes of Ware County yet, and they're going to find out what TC12 and company's all about. There's no way this Banneker team slows down that Ware offense. Yeah, well, that'll be happening in the Memorial Stadium this Friday night. But our buddies to the west here, Coffee County, 7-2 on the season, has got to go on and take on Creekside, 8-2. This actually is going to be the GPB TV game of the week. For next week. So all the Coffee County fans that can't make the ride up to Creekside like Ware County did last year, they can catch it on TV. And Kevin, this is going to be a tough draw for Coffee. Not only do they get a very good Creekside, but pardon the French, they get a pissed off Creekside because Creekside lost to
They lost to Woodward Academy last Friday night with a chance to be region champions. So they lost a region title, and now they're sitting there at a 2 seed. Got to play Coffee, so they've got to be good and angry about that game last Friday night. And Coffee's going to catch them, in an ill mood. But listen, Coffee can play with anybody. Their defense is stout. They've got to have Maurice Turner back. They've got to have some kind of running back play to have any chance of hoping to win this game. But listen, Coffee can win a 17-14 game. They can win a 21-17 game, against these guys. Their defense has just got to play next level. And, of course, you always got to give the special teams nod to Coffee County because of Maurice Turner returning kicks and because of that big field goal kicker that they've got. I mean, man, if they get the ball across the 50-yard line, he's apt to shoot in, kick in 3 points. So they've got a lot of weapons over there at Coffee, but, again, a tough draw for them to have to go to Creekside.
Yeah, and of course, we said all year, whoever finished third in this region, was going to be a tough out, and it turns out that it's Coffee again, and that was the case last year, and we know what Coffee did, and they made a deep march, all the way into the semifinals, I guess, before they lost to Cartersville, the same team that beat Ware County the week before. So this is familiar territory for this Coffee team. And I feel like Coffee is built for the playoffs and built to go on the road. They just have a solid football team year in and year out across the board. They of course, have a good defense. They have a good running game. They're physical. And this year they've got a passing game to go with it. And, of course, like you mentioned, they're sound on special teams, particularly with that field goal kicker who gives them a weapon that a lot of high school teams, even in the upper classifications, don't always have. And, of course, they've got an experienced coaching staff that knows how to navigate the playoff road. So, they have a lot of advantages built in for them. But I guess the main thing is how healthy are they offensively. That's been the big thing for this Coffee team. That's kind of been their Achilles heel. We know they've had musical chairs on the offensive side of the football for sure. But when you look at this Creekside team, I mean, they are good. I mean, they beat Grayson. They beat or lost to Cartersville, or they beat Cartersville, I guess, earlier in the season. What?
No, they lost to Cartersville.
It was lost, I think, 17-14 or 20, and then so they played some really good teams. They've been tested, and this is a really good first round matchup. And no question, there's no reason. Obviously, there's a reason why it's, the GPTV game of the week is an attractive first round matchup, and whoever wins this game is most likely going to be looking at that Cartersville team in round 2, and that's a heck of a round 2 ball game. So this is a great attractive matchup. I hope Coffee can go on the road and win it, but it's certainly going to be tough.
Yeah, gonna be a tough draw. But listen, I will not be surprised Friday night if I hear Coffee's name, coming out with with the victory in this matchup. That does it for 5A. That moves us into 4A with New Hampstead Phoenix 7-3 taking on Cairo Syrup Makers at 6-3. Kevin, this is another game on paper, man, that's almost mirror images. I mean, these teams have had a couple losses. They've been battle tested. They played some good teams. I mean, New Hampstead played Benedictine. Cairo's played Bainbridge. So I mean, they've had some good. They've been battle tested to get to this game. And like I said, even though I think this is a 2 versus a 3 seed. This to me is a coin flip. New Hampstead's capable of scoring points. Their quarterback's very, very talented, but Cairo's got that tough, blue collar mentality that they just want to bloody your nose. It's kind of 2 different styles going at one another because Coach Hogman, he likes to spread it out and finesse you and throw the ball around. And Cairo, they just want to put you in a phone booth and bludgeon you. So it'll be interesting to see who wins out in this game. But it'll be a great high school football game over there in Cairo on Friday night.
Yeah, it is an interesting matchup on paper. You got a spread team in New Hampstead, and you got a good play caller over there in Coach Hockman, who is going to dial up probably some, interesting plays in that spread offense and take advantage of whatever Cairo is going to give him. But you're right, Cairo is more of a physical, downhill team, historically has been anyway. And, like you said, they're probably going to want to get in there and, fight this one out between the tackles, between the hash marks, even if they were to line up in the spread team like a spread formation like a lot of teams do these days just to run the football. But, when you look at this, I was really surprised that once New Hampstead got into region play, I saw them against Brunswick, and I was impressed with their offense. Brunswick just ran up and down the field on them like they were in the track meet, out at Glenn County Stadium because they couldn't stop the Brunswick offense, plain and simple. Didn't have the depth on the defensive side of the football or the talent to match up with the BHS offense. But I thought offensively they looked pretty good with the quarterback throwing the ball around and a decent running game as well. But when you look at this game, I think maybe, I was surprised that New Hampstead lost to somebody else besides BC in region play. They ended up losing to Jenkins as well. I think it was a close game, 34-28, something like that. But that's why they are the 3 seed instead of the 2 and going on the road. And when you look at Cairo, they're probably a little more battle tested playing some of the teams they played in the region. You mentioned Bainbridge, and that might play into their favor, particularly being able to play at home. So I might give the edge in this one to Cairo just because of those things. But I'm like you. This is an intriguing chess match on paper for sure.
Yeah. Well, and it's a long way from Bloomingdale, Georgia to Cairo, Georgia. And there is no easy way to get there, my friend.
And, hey, we have some cool nicknames in Georgia high school football. But, I mean, just cool nicknames in general. We'll get to another one in a minute that is based out of Savannah, but the Syrup Makers is another one that I like, the Cairo Syrup Makers.
Exactly. But, well, Kevin, we're going to take a break, and thanks to sponsors here for On Air with 912 Sports. But we were right back here with the rest of the games right after these messages.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Welcome back, sports fans. Thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Spoke, publisher of 912 Sports, joined as always by podcast host and writer Kevin Price. And we're going to continue on with our round 1 of the state playoffs here in the 912 area. Kevin, we'll jump right into 3A. And this is actually our most teams that we have in 3A because we actually have 2 9-1 teams playing one another. And we'll get to that game in a minute. But we've got Johnson and Savannah, 5-5, going at Appleton County, 9-1. Appleton County coming off that loss last Friday night to Pierce County, their big, next door neighbor rivalry. That game's been a rivalry. As a matter of fact, they've been talking about it for a year, and they're already talking about next year's game. And this game ain't even been over, 72 hours. But Pierce was able to get the better of them, 120-0, because Appleton turned the ball over 3 times there in the fourth quarter. But hey, in those big games, Kevin, you gotta protect the football. Appleton didn't. Pierce took advantage of it and was able to get away with a 20-0 win there. But hey, listen, Appleton's season's not over by no means. They still got plenty to play for. They're a very talented football team, and it would not surprise me if they make a deep run and that they're there at the end. It still won't surprise me. Johnson and Savannah, 5-5 on the season. I don't see a whole lot of hope for those guys going over to Baxley and getting a win against the Pirates. I mean, you never say never. You don't play games on paper. But I think the Pirates are probably pretty solid there on this first-round matchup.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Appling and Johnson play basketball, but if it were basketball, Johnson would have a damn good chance. Excuse my French again. But
that's true.
Although Darius Smith is a good basketball player, I do know that. And he's gonna play football for Georgia though. But and he'll probably be in that Adam Smasher backfield a lot on Friday night if he even plays. By the way, that's the other nickname that I was talking about. The Adam Smashers, one of the cool nicknames in Georgia high school sports. But yeah, you know what? Appling has to get over that. They do, Sean, and they could probably play me and you on the offensive line and the defensive line in this game Friday night and win this one. But yeah, they've got to get over that and move forward. And we thought that game last Friday would be a defensive struggle. It was. for the better part of 3 quarters for sure. All 20 points that Pierce scored, was in the fourth quarter. DJ Bell, that we'll mention in a minute for Pierce, had a big game for them, in the fourth quarter and throughout the game. But, Appling's got the defense for sure to win a state championship, and they've scored plenty of points offensively all year long. They'll have no trouble here, and then the road will get a little bit tougher going forward. But they have a chance to definitely go deep in the playoff bracket again, and plenty of 2 seeds have won state championships before in all the levels of Georgia high school football. So they have to get over that loss to Pierce and try to go deep once again, and maybe, who knows, meet Pierce in the state championship game.
Exactly. Well, keeping it right here in 3A, we've got Brantley, a 912 team, going up against Liberty, another 912 team. So you'll get Coach Jeff Cannon taking on Coach Kurt Warner at Liberty County. Liberty 5-3 on the season. Brantley coming into the game 3-7. Was able to beat Tatnall in that region to earn herself a playoff spot. Liberty County really won one game that mattered, Kevin, and that was against Southeast Bullock. Beat Southeast Bullock 28-20 to put themselves in position to be the region champs, which they wound up being the region champs. But this game is right there for the Herons taking, Kevin. I mean, Brantley comes in this game. I believe this is the 3rd year in a row they've made the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's a historic feat. Brantley's never had back-to-back playoff runs. They never had back-to-back playoff runs until last year. So now they got back-to-back playoff runs, and they have the opportunity to win their first playoff game ever against this Liberty team. I'm not saying that they will. I'm saying they've got the opportunity to. Liberty has, hasn't had the best of seasons, has lost to some teams such as Windsor Forest and some other guys like that. That I think Brantley's every bit as good as and can play with. So this is an interesting 4 versus 1 and another 4 versus 1, Kevin, that if 4 wins, I'm not going to be shocked.
Yeah, and, Liberty's had some really good football teams in the past, and, of course, they're down from there, and even though they are 1 seed, and then, Brantley, this has kind of worked out in their favor down the stretch. They beat Tatnall, a couple of weeks ago like they had to, and their good friends over in Ludowici helped them out by knocking Tatnall on out of things, this past Friday night. Of course, if Tatnall would have won, we'd have had to, go to that point system thing to see how bad they would have won, and would have had a tiebreaker on our hands, but that was a moot point. And, also, I don't know if a lot of people realize this, and I'd forgotten about it, I guess, myself, but Brantley has already lost to Southeast Bullock this year, and lost pretty handily. And I don't know that Brantley played their best game that night by any means, but that would have been a rematch that maybe would not have favored them. So they're going up against a team in Liberty that might be a better matchup for them in that regard. So it's kind of worked out in Brantley's favor. Maybe the good Lord is smiling on the Herons over there in Nahunta and Caney Bay. And, here they go, just with a short trip in the opening round of the playoffs from Nahunta to Hinesville. They're basically staying right here in Southeast Georgia in the 912 area code. And, they've got a good chance, like you say, to make some history right here in 2021 if they can go over there to Liberty County and win this football game as a 4 seed over a 1.
Yeah, Friday night, that's a game I'm going to be following to see what how that shakes out. But moving right along, just to mention the Pierce County Bears, they're going to be playing host to the Windsor Forest Knights. Windsor Forest comes in at 5-4 on the season. Pierce 8-2, only lost to Brunswick and then Rabun County. So Pierce rolling with that big win Friday night over Apple. They've got to be riding high, and they got to be one of the favorites to repeat as a state championship or state champion, Kevin, because that 3 seed is wide open. Everybody thought Cedar Grove was unbeatable, but hey, guess what? Sandy Creek beat them Friday night. So this region is really wide open. A lot of people thought Appleton was, might be the heir apparent, and Pierce has already knocked them off. So I mean, this is anybody's game in 3A right now.
Yeah, and obviously our 2 teams right there, Pierce and Appling certainly are in that mix for the state championship contention, and both of these teams are going to have easy acts here in the opening round. This is 1-16 matchups, like I referred to earlier in the NCAA tournament. It's more like might be like more like 125 matchups, and Windsor and Johnson would certainly stand a better chance in basketball than they do in football against these 2 teams. But Pierce is going to, put that defense on them, probably go ahead and, take care of this game in the first quarter and get the likes of DJ Bell and company out of this game early, but and go ahead and start resting those guys up for round 2. But this is just one game for Pierce, and then it'll get tougher from here. But they've certainly got the defense to do it, and if DJ Bell can continue to run like he ran Friday night, they'll have the offense to do it as well.
Yeah, 268, Kevin, 3 touchdowns. I'm not sure how many carries, but he definitely was the man for Pierce all night long. I think he was 6 of 8 on passing as well. So really impressive performance there by DJ Bell. Not only, those numbers would be impressive against anybody, but your arch rival for a region championship game, that's a heck of a performance there by DJ Bell.
And a good defense nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he wasn't playing. He didn't get those numbers against Windsor Forest or Johnson or Savannah. He got that against Applin's, top-rated defense. So
exactly.
Great night there for DJ Bell. But moving right along in that same region there, that same 3 classification, Long County 5-5 on the season against Southeast Bullock 9-1 on the season. Long County, first of all, I got to tip my hat to Mike Feaster. That is one hell of a job, young man, that you did at Long County. Nobody gave you, a Chinaman's chance, and you know what, to be anything this year, and you showed everybody that you could win at Long County. You walked the hallways, you got kids to come out, you got them to believe, and you're sitting there at 5-5. So regardless of what happens Friday night, he's got to be on the short list for somebody's, coach of the year there, because that's just an outstanding job. But he really didn't do himself any favors, Kevin, Friday night by beating Tatnall, because what he did, he moved himself from a 4 seed to a 3 seed, and he could have played Liberty County in the first round. Now, by the way, you got to go and play Southeast Bullock, who's 9-1 on the season. Now, Southeast Bullock did lose to Liberty early, but I think Southeast Bullock's a little bit better football team than Liberty is. But listen, this Long County team, they've got a great running back in Amari Douglas. They're physical. They will hit you. They don't give up. They're not this is not your grandpa's Long County right here, Kevin. This is a good football team, and I give them a fighting chance to go into Southeast Bullock and get a victory.
Well, isn't it weird? Things kind of maybe seem to work out a little bit more favorable for Liberty, and maybe a tad bit less favorable for Long County. But you know what? Long don't give a darn.
No, sir.
And this could be bad news for Southeast Bullock, to be honest with you. This Long County team, they would play in the middle of nowhere. They're just glad to be in the playoffs. And like you said, they're going to run and hit, and they're going to crank that running back up, and they're going to run him till they won't let his legs fall off, but they're going to get as close as he can. And, he's really had a heck of a season, and this Long team's going to be fired up. And Sean, I think that's kind of where it starts. They've got to settle down and realize this is a football game. The field's going to be the same length and the same width. There's going to be goalposts on both ends. So they've still got a game plan to execute offensively and defensively. So the quicker they can settle into things, the better off they're going to be. But, what a great opportunity this is for Long, win or lose. It's been a great season for them and their head coach. Hopefully he gets a Christmas bonus from the Booster Club or the principal's office or something. So I would love to see them win this game and keep the Cinderella run going. No offense to anybody at Southeast Bullock, but this has been a great run for Long County, and I'm looking forward to seeing, kind of where things go from here. Success breeds success. And there'll probably be at least 1, 2, or 3 kids that'll be in the weight room in January that weren't there last January or at the end of this season. You
got that right. Roll Blue Tide.
That's right.
Well, Kevin, let's move into 2A. We got a bunch of teams playing in 2A. Our first game up, Laney at 6-4 is going to travel over to Swainsboro at 8-2 to take on Ty Adams, the quarterback over there for the Swainsboro Tigers. And listen, Laney is no joke, Kevin. They just come off a victory over Washington Wilkes. So Swainsboro's got a tough draw there. This is a tough 1 versus 4 seed, because like I said, if you can beat Washington Wilkes, you can play with just about anybody, in the state in 2A. So Swainsboro is going to have their hands full. They do get him at home. We know, Kevin, both you and I got a chance to see this Ty Adams up close and personal. The kid is explosive. He can beat you with his arms. He can beat you with his legs. He is a heck of a football player. So it'll be interesting to see what shakes out there in Swainsboro on Friday night.
Yeah, Laney's like a lot of teams in Georgia, athletic, a lot of speed, and that's kind of probably what I haven't laid eyes on them, but that's probably what they have again this year. Maybe they lost some games that they shouldn't have lost, and here they are, going into the top seeded Swainsboro's house. And you're right. We saw Swainsboro against Jeff Davis, an off night for both of us to get away from, our regular duties on Friday night and to go see a great high school football game in a great atmosphere. And it was everything that we thought it would be. Had some, great plays by both teams, had some controversy on the winning touchdown, and things went Swainsboro's way right there in Jeff Davis's house. But the quarterback is the straw that stirs the drink. Swainsboro will probably go as far as he can take them. Swainsboro's athletic, a lot of really good athletes on that team, and some guys in the defensive backfield that look like they're post players on that Swainsboro basketball team, if you know what I mean, tall and lanky and rangy. And they probably will be playing basketball, at least some of them. But I like Swainsboro at home, but I think Laney's the kind of team probably that if you give them life, let them hang around, they'll find a way to beat you. So hopefully Swainsboro can go ahead and get behind their quarterback and get up on these guys and put them behind the 8 ball and keep them there.
Exactly. Well, in that same region, you got Jefferson County at 6-4, going to be taking on Jeff Davis. Jeff Davis 9-1 on the season, going to finish second in that region, but they do get to host a game over in the Pinelands. We both know that's a tough place to play. So I really look for Coach Lance Helton and the Jeff Davis Yellow Jackets to be moving on to the second round, but they're going to have their hands full Friday night with Jefferson County.
Yeah, this Jefferson County team, they're really good. I mean, they lost to Swainsboro, I guess it was earlier in the season, only 7-0 themselves. And they actually, I think, lost to Putnam County, this year as well. I don't know whether that game was at home or away, but Putnam, I think, wrapped up an undefeated season this week as well. My cousin lives up there, so she posted it on Facebook, but they lost to them 28-21. So, Putnam's a good playoff team as well. But, I heard Coach Helton say it after they lost to Swainsboro. One of the first things he told his team was this season's not over. And, of course, they still had to play East Lawrence, and they blew them out, last week. But the thing about losing to Swainsboro, not only did they lose the region championship, I know that stung, but, they lost the chance to not only host a round 1 game, but a round 2 game. And that is a big deal. But, much like we talked about with Appling, they've got to get over that. They've got a chance to do some damage in AA, and AA is a tough bracket, of course, as well. Some real good teams right here in South Georgia that they'll have to beat, to advance, through this thing. But I saw it. You saw it. Jeff Davis is really good on both sides of the football. Coach Helton is doing a good job there with this club. And hopefully they have gotten over the Swainsboro thing. Maybe that'll kind of motivate them as well. And, that wing tee they run is not an offense that as many people run as they used to. A lot of people have gone to the spread. That's the, catch offense of the day, so to speak. And Jeff Davis is solid on both sides of the ball. And I think if they can continue to play real solid defense, they've only given up, Sean, I think 54 to 55 points on the season. And that's going to beat a lot of folks if their defense continues to play like that.
Right. Well, and they're a real physical football team, too.
Right.
Swainsboro was a physical too, but there's not very many 2A football teams as physical as Jeff Davis, and I think that's going to bode well for them as they get deeper into the playoffs.
With size in the trenches, as you know.
Yep, exactly. So I give Jeff Davis a good shot of winning his first round game and moving on. So, but still in 2A, we've got Vidalia at 3-7. Got to go up and play west side of Augusta, who's 8-2 on the season. Not James Cameron's or Jason Cameron's best, team to date. They kind of struggled this year. They did make the playoffs there, but like I said, going to be a tough act to go up and to hang with the west side of Augusta, sitting there at 8-2. So, Vidalia's got a shot, but it's going to be a tough draw for them.
Yeah, they've got a shot. They've got a chance, but you're right. This hasn't been the best Vidalia season. And Westside is a solid football team, I think, just looking at their scores and some of the teams they played. And, of course, with them being at home, you would think this game would tilt heavily in their favor. And I think it would be a bit of a surprise if Vidalia were able to pull this one out.
Yeah. That's going to wrap it up for 2A. That moves us into single A public. These games, again, will be played on Saturday. We've got Charlton County at 7-3, going over to Wilcox County at 7-3. Kevin, this is by far, to me, the closest game on paper of any game in the playoffs. If you look at points scored, points allowed, I mean, these two teams are actually mirror images of one another, and really neither one has an advantage over the other, in my opinion. As a matter of fact, I think Charlton's got a little bit of advantage because they got a little running back by the name of Jalen Lilly, who can tote the rock, son. And I think if they can get him going and he can have a big night, I think Russ Murray can get his first playoff win there on the road against Wilcox.
Yeah, Charlton's had a heck of a season. They're playing in that tough region, with some really good teams, and that's, I guess, in some ways unfortunate because it puts them in a situation where we probably knew that barring some kind of miracle by them or some injuries by those top couple of teams in that region, that they were going to be facing a road situation, and here they are. But you're right. I mean, this is a winnable game, even though they're on the road. I'm like you, by just looking at things on paper, it's probably, maybe about as even as you can get. I guess maybe Wilcox would probably get an advantage being at home. Those Maxwell ratings, I guess, came out today. I really didn't look at them as far as this game goes. Those are what they are. We all kind of look at them and have fun with them. They do seem to get more accurate, though, don't they, Sean, the deeper we get into the season, because, it takes more of this year's games into account versus all that past history stuff.
Right. Actually, Charlton is rated ahead of Wilkes County in both categories due to in the Maxwell ratings.
Yeah, so so from that standpoint, I was talking about more like that old point spread.
I got you.
That they put out. But I think the Lilly kid, could certainly get going. He could be the difference in the ball game for this Charlton team, and they've had a great turnaround season. And I would like to see them, just of course being a homer here in the 912 area code, go out and get this win on Friday night and move into the next round.
Exactly. And that brings us to our last game on the docket there for 1A Public. That's the MCA Buccaneers, McIntosh County Academy, who are 5-4-1. Not many teams would have tied this year, but they did have a tie earlier in the season. And then at Mitchell County, who's 6-3. This is another evenly matched record teams. The problem I see here, Kevin, it is a long way from Darien, Georgia, over to Mitchell County. I mean, and again, there's no easy way to get there. So, it's funny because you think about 4-hour car rides in the playoffs from South Georgia to the Atlanta area. That's not the case here. They got to go from the coast just about to the Alabama line. So, a little bit different trajectory, but same distance.
Yeah, we talk about it, with the upper classifications, not as many South Georgia schools, in the upper classification. So, take 6A, for instance, the Region 2 that we cover is playing Region 4, that Westlake Hughes region. Well, that's south of the Atlanta airport. So that is a South Georgia region, according to Georgia High School Association geography, Region 1 through 4, Regions 1 through 4, South Georgia regions, Region 5 through 8 are North Georgia regions. But in this case, you got two South Georgia regions going at it, but it's on the coast of the state, coastal side of the state for McIntosh going over against a team playing on the western side of the state. But you know what, Sean, I'm just going to be blunt about it. I've been a little disappointed in this McIntosh team for most of the year. I saw them in the preseason, and I saw them, I guess, when they were here. I guess they played Brunswick and Glenn, both over there. So I didn't get to see either one of those games. But I thought McIntosh on paper had some pretty good talent, and
they got some dudes.
We got some dudes, like you say, and might have a little bit better record, but they have played, better down the stretch. And this is a chance, Sean, for them to go out and make amends for that tough loss they had last year to clinch in the playoffs, and that one ended in some controversy. And so this is a chance for them to go out and maybe make amends for that a year later and to march on in the playoffs. And I think they do have a chance to win this game. This is a winnable game if they can get their legs under them after making that trip over there. But you know what, Sean, and you mentioned the fact that both teams, that they have a tie. Glen Academy also has a tie. And if I'm going to look that up, because those should be the only two teams in the state that has a tie, because as you know, ties aren't supposed to happen.
Exactly. Well, Kevin, that
you brought it up, Sean. I did not, for the record.
But that concludes all of our games that are going to be played. Frederica is in the playoffs at GISA, but they earned a bye for the first round, so we'll be talking about them for next week. And Kevin, I'm going to get a prediction number from you. You just right now we've got 19 teams that are going to play Friday and Saturday night. Well, I'll take that back. I'm sorry. We got 18 teams that are going to play Friday and Saturday night, because Frederica's not going to play. So how many teams will we have playing next week? You know we're going to have one because Frederica got a bye.
Okay, we got one in Frederica. Give me a second.
Yeah. All right.
Have you already added yours up?
Nope, I haven't added up mine. I'm just going to pick a number, and I'm going to say we got 12 teams playing next week. You tell me what you think. He's studying on it, folks.
You know what? You're pretty good just with your guesswork because I say 12 as well.
Okay.
With a quick look.
All right. That's we'll
I say
go with 12.
I think we go 12 and 7.
12 and 7. I think 12 will be a successful. I think that'll be a successful weekend for the 912 if we can do 12. But hey, we appreciate everybody watching here with On Air. Appreciate you listening to us. And like I said, we'll be back next week and share with you who made it and who's taking up uniform, so to speak. But again, appreciate everybody watching. Until next time, may all your check marks go in the win column. Good night, everybody.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
This has been On Air with 912 Sports. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week with more coverage of Southeast Georgia high school sports. On Air with 912 Sports has been brought to you by Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, Prime South Bank, Gibson Animal Clinic, Coastal Pines Technical College, Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, and Kim Smoke, licensed realtor with Crossway Realty. This has been a presentation of 912 Sports, Southeast Georgia's #1 source for high school sports.